earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory? About what? Just anything?
Yeah.
Earliest childhood memory? Um, um, yeah, earliest childhood memory. I don't know, just always being, coming up with original ideas and being able to amuse myself and never really being a follower, even
Right.
as a kid. Always wanting to do my own thing, create games and fun, and even playing war and things like that.
Awesome. Um, how did you get turned on to underground music?
Um, Underground music, it it's really weird because even when I got up to high school, I never really was into total metal or anything like that. It was always just, I guess, the commercial music of the world, and through my different years, just people like Elvis or the Doors, and just always kind of stuff that really impacted me. Led Zeppelin.
All right.
But then in high school, I remember I bought the first album I actually bought was before high school. It was the Styx Grand Illusion,
All right.
and started finding out more about the punk scene, and got into started getting. That's when I got into the punk scene, and then started getting into the older metal like Black Sabbath and Deep Purple and things like that, and then I got turned on to the British new wave heavy metal,
All right.
which was like right around the time Nasty Savage was happening in the early '80s.
Awesome. Um, where does the name Nasty Savage come from?
Oh, it was just something I came up with. I always liked the name Savage, and I tried to find a word to go with Savage, and Nasty hit my mind. I said Nasty Savage. So that sounds pretty cool because now I could be Nasty Ronnie,
All right.
and it was like a concept. So actually, that what happened is I tried out for the band, and I only knew a couple of songs, a couple of Iron Maiden songs, and it was Ben and Fred and Craig Huffman, and they had a band called Nightmare. So I tried out for as a singer because they had a female singer,
All right.
and I went over there and sang the 3 songs or so. Then I didn't, and then I ran into him at a party, and I said, "Man, what's the deal? You guys want me to be your singer or not?"
All right.
And they said, "Yeah, we do." And I said, "Okay, I'm coming over so and so day. We'll have a meeting." And that's where I came and said, "Look, I got this concept of Nasty Savage, Nasty Ronnie. Let's put our minds together, create something. Let's make it real. Within 1 year, let's be signed."
All right.
And the rest really did happen.
That's awesome. At least you guys had goals when you started
So
out.
I think it's real important, to have a band is one thing, but then again, you got 5 guys or 6 guys or 4 guys, and do they all have? Is it in their minds that they really want to create something? They have a goal,
All right.
because some guys could be in it just to pick up the chicks.
All right.
Some guys are here to impress mommy and daddy, or mommy and daddy buys them everything, and they're not really into it. So we were really lucky to find 5 guys, or at the time the guys in the band, the 4 of us, with a heart
All right.
to create.
Excellent.
Now things changed after that,
All
but
right.
at least we had the goal and the drive, and we had a plan. And in life, you have to have a plan.
Exactly. How did you get turned on to wrestling, and what is the most memorable match you've ever seen?
Wrestling, it was weird because I was born in New York and I moved to Florida when I was about 10. And for a while, I was living with my aunt while they were building our house, and they would always watch wrestling from Florida.
All right.
And this was like 70s. It was really good wrestling back then. It was like old school, killer. Dusty Rhodes was a big influence on me because he was like the main guy here in Florida, and all the villains, and there was just so many real characters back then. It was just really awesome. So that was a big impact on me, wrestling, and I just started getting into it more and more and more. But then I really got involved with Kevin Sullivan, the Prince of Darkness, who I got to meet and hang out with. And that's really some of the best matches I've seen back then was with Kevin Sullivan, and then I got to be involved in them also.
All right.
But wrestling's always been something that I always have liked, Nowadays, I think it's a little bit just too corny and commercialized, but it's big business now, and they're still very professional. It's unbelievable what they're doing now.
Alright. That's awesome that you mentioned Sir Oliver Humperdinck, because I was going to ask you whatever happened to Locke, Luna, and Sir Oliver Humperdinck. Are they...
Locke and Luna, I managed them as the champions of the world, women's tag team champions for quite, I think, 2 years. We traveled all around actually, we went all over the place, even Europe with them.
That's awesome.
And, Humperdinck was always like a mentor behind them to me, along with Luna's father, who is Mad Dog Vachon, who's a big-time pro wrestler in Canada and a big-time guy, very influential. But they're still wrestling here and there. Luna's actually married to the guy that was in the WWF, Gangrel.
Okay, alright.
And, they work a lot of independent shows nowadays. And Humperdinck's down in the Keys right now.
Awesome. Who's your favorite wrestler? You said Dusty Rhodes was a big influence.
Well, back then? My favorite, the guy that put a big influence on me was, Dusty Rhodes, because he was such a real person, down-home guy, and for the people, a hero to many. He's always a good guy. And, of course, you got to have villains, you got to have good guys. And when you're younger, you always like the good guys.
All right.
And, hang on one second.
All right.
You rolling?
Yep.
Yeah, so Dusty Rhodes was a big impact on me as a younger guy. And now that I've got more involved in the business and just, found out how hard it is to be a wrestler and to really excel at your trade, there's just so many guys that are so talented out there. But some of the ones that I've become friends with is like Rob Van Dam. He's a very good friend of mine. He's got a lot of talent.
All right.
He's in the WWE. Chris Jericho,
right.
Another guy. Actually, he's on the new Nasty Savage album, singing Savage Desire. And there's just so many guys out there. I mean, you can watch it any Monday night and see a lot of talent.
Right.
It's a very, very, very hard job those guys have.
Exactly.
I mean, they actually put their bodies on the line, literally, sometimes 300 nights a year. It's a lot. They're living in a lot of pain.
What do you normally get when you go into a convenience store?
When I go into a convenience store, I always like to get a cup of ice, and then either like some kind of tea. I really like that. What is it? That damn.
Like for me right now, my drink is a Sobe.
Yeah, they have so many different flavors and stuff. I've never really tried all the Sobe, but I like that tea. They have 100 different ones of them. They have the RX.
Snapple? No.
Not
Snapple. That
Snapple.
herbal tea? Is that
Not herbal. It's They have the ginseng. They have all the different kind of Arizona.
All right.
I think Arizona iced tea has some cool stuff. The bottles are cool, but there's certain ones that are really good. It's the ginseng.
All right.
I have to drink that right before I go on stage because it really freaks me out.
Awesome.
No, not that. I'm usually water on stage. Also, like the Starbucks little can, the Jolt, whatever, the little can of Starbucks, man, will really get you going.
Awesome.
But other than that, in the convenience store, that's really about it. I rarely have anything to eat out of there. Maybe a candy bar once in a while, but it's usually just something brief, or maybe some rolling papers.
There you go. How old were you when you were first introduced to the world of porn, and has it warped your mind at all?
I think porn is very good for everybody, because people think, oh man, they're going to watch porn and they're going to run out and rape somebody. That's the furthest from the truth.
Exactly.
Porn,
that's why I ask everyone.
Yeah, porn actually helps control that, and it's a matter of life. It's part of life. It's part of natural being. But when I was infatuated with porn, as well as most people probably were. But I can remember. I remember when I was in, as a youngster, about 3rd grade, 4th grade, go to my friend's house, and when his parents were gone, we go right to his dad's Playboys. And then I remember we had a tree for it, and Brandon, and where I used to live when I still lived at home. My mom, of course, was like, I think we were 13, 12 years old, 11, and the guy next door was throwing out a stack of Playboys, and we took them all to the treehouse
That's awesome.
and actually read them all. And these were Playboys, and we looked at them from cover to cover for hours and hours and hours. And so I don't think it's warped my mind. It depends what. There's a lot of different kinds of porn,
All right.
that you could be into, but it's all good.
Mm.
It's a multi-billion-dollar business,
Exactly.
and I'd really like to find a way to capitalize on it myself. Maybe not performing in it, but maybe producing some TV shows for some
Alright.
of the nightclubs and things like that. And but I mean, there's no angels out there. You
No.
know, you gotta, you need that to live and survive.
Exactly.
Unless, I don't know. But it hasn't warped my mind. It won't warp yours either.
No, not at all. Are you a gun owner? Do you
Yeah.
believe in owning guns?
Yeah, I believe in, the right to bear arms.
Exactly.
But, you have a responsibility with a weapon. You shouldn't just have one to be cool, or, I think you have to have a lot of respect for that weapon, because that's what it is, and it'll damn sure blow a hole in you and kill you.
Yeah.
And if kids get a hold of them, it's a terrible thing. And now, me being a parent, I have to really look at that.
Alright.
And how important are those guns to me?
Alright.
And then it's a big issue, but I think gun safety is the first thing. I mean, I grew up with guns and firearms, and my dad was a big military war collector of guns. And, I remember he took me out to my uncle's farm in New York when I was about 8 or 7 and showed me what a gun could do to, like, gallon jugs of milk and
Alright.
watermelons and things like that. So definitely, I'm a gun owner, and I believe people should have the right. I mean, if they took the guns away from the good people, who would have the guns?
Exactly.
Who would rule
Exactly.
who?
That's why I asked. I just watched that movie Bowling for Columbine. Have you seen that
I
yet?
haven't seen it.
I'd recommend it to everybody. It's basically about guns, and he doesn't form an opinion. He lets everyone speak for themselves, But it's awesome.
Well, I mean, guns kill people. Yeah, but I mean, it's whose hand that it's in.
Right.
I
Exactly.
mean,
It's not the.
there's
Exactly.
a lot of statistics out there. Murder, if you can access a gun quick, maybe you can kill somebody quicker. I think if you're going to kill somebody, it's premeditated. You're going to find a way to kill them one way or the other.
Exactly.
People can think about killing people, but to actually do it is a whole other thing.
Exactly. Why do you think metal is more popular in Germany than in the States? Does it seem more popular over there?
Yeah, I think everybody pretty much knows that, and I think it could be because Americans have so much around them that they can draw from and do and
Right.
utilize. Like one week they could be into grunge, the next week it could be hardcore,
Alright.
the next week it could be something else, disco, rap, the mix of this, the mix of that. And there's a lot of temptation out there if you're not true, and not to say you have to be true to anything,
Alright.
but I mean, I think people should like what they like, and not because Joe Blow next door likes it, or, but the Europeans, what I found being there and being in the band and going through the old school stuff, is they're a little more educated. They like metal, they live it,
Alright.
and they know all about it.
Alright.
They knew things about Nasty Savage that I didn't think anybody knew, but they knew because they researched and read up on it. And like I said, they're educated fans, and I think your average metal fan over in Europe wakes up, puts the leather on and spikes, and they're the metal all day long.
Alright.
It's not just when you go to the concert.
Exactly.
And that's really respectable
Mhm.
when you look at that, and they live for it. And not to say the Americans don't, because I've seen some kick-ass metalheads in America that would blow anybody away. But I just think when it comes down to the mass, it's more accepted, or just more liked and loved, and in their hearts in Europe and South America also.
Alright. How did you get into smashing TVs, and what is the worst injury you've sustained?
Well, actually, I've never been injured. Any kind of injuries I've had is self-inflicted, so it's nothing that I did stupid to get hurt.
Alright.
See, people look at me on stage, and I don't know what they think, but I just like them to take a trip along with me. I don't say get into it, take my TV, don't fuck with my TV sets now.
All right.
Uh, but if you could just take my trip, where it's going, where it stopped, figure it out. But the reason I started doing TV sets, Williams,
All right.
and she actually helped promote the first Nasty Savage album on national TV. We had a lot of letters she wrote back and forth. She sent a lot of stuff signed and autographed
Awesome.
albums, and we were even going to do a project together, but it just never happened. Actually, when we played Lemoore in New York with Slayer, she came there to see Nasty Savage
Awesome.
and to meet me. And when we played CBGB, she sent a telegram care of me saying she was sorry she couldn't make it, but to go out and break a leg. So,
Awesome.
Seeing what she did, she originally did stuff with TVs with a sledgehammer, and so I kind of looked at it in a different way, what TV does to you. TV's brainwashing.
All right.
When you watch the news, is it slanted to the left? Is it slanted to the right?
All right.
Are you missing the real facts there, or is it just how they want you to learn it? So I just felt like, wow, what's the thing I could use to demonstrate or maybe get out aggressions on something about society? The biggest bullshit thing is television. I mean, I love to watch TV myself, but really, I never watched those mind-burning half-hour shows, the stupid shows that, if you like them, fine. But I mean, I always like reality of documentary,
Exactly.
maybe some sports, just something that I'm interested in. But really, there's a lot of great things on TV. There's a lot of bullshit that'll get in your mind and try to tell you how life is, and it's a lot of bullshit.
Right.
A lot of the news coverage. We think we saw a war on TV. We didn't see a war here with Iraq, man. We just saw what they wanted us to see.
Exactly.
I didn't see dead bodies or dead Americans, and like we saw in World War II and on the beaches of Iwo Jima.
Right.
We saw American boys dead.
Right.
That made thousands of people enlist. The Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, but TV's just a bunch of bullshit. Really, it's a mind warp.
Right.
So that's my anti kind of thing about TV sets, and I've always been doing them. I've probably done a couple of hundred of them, never got hurt.
Awesome.
Except sometimes I smash my head open and things like that, but it's all controlled violence.
Okay.
And I like it.
That's awesome. Can you explain what Born to Ride is, how it came about, and is it just local or is it national too?
Well, with the website, borntoride.com, we're universal. So I hope to get the show on the website. It should already be on there, but it isn't. So that way everybody can see it with an international show.
All right.
But as far as how Born to Ride started was back in 95 or 96. So I've been doing it for about 9 years now. And I just created something. Being a biker myself, I saw the need for a television show, but I also saw the good things that bikers do.
All right.
And they do so many positive, great things for the community that it's not just at Christmas time. This is all year.
All right.
I really like that. And when I watched the news and things like that on TV about how they were portraying bikers, it was usually negative or not anything. So then when they come out to some of our events, like at the Children's Hospital, they're out there with all their cameras and big expensive truck, and then I go watch what they put on the news, and it's 7 seconds.
All right.
Bikers today got together for the kids. Next story. But that's not what happens on Born to Ride. On Born to Ride, I can cover that for 10, 15 minutes and really give the people their due for who's doing what they're doing. And I think motorcycle community are some of the greatest people I've ever met, in my life. And people think that they're just a bunch of rowdy bikers, but go to a big bike rally, you'll probably find more people saying, "Pardon me, excuse me, thank you."
All right.
Matter of fact, I was at this one big one in Orlando called the Bikers for Babies. It's about the March of Dimes. It's a charitable ride that we support every year. There was an announcement that came over the loudspeaker. It said, "Excuse me, has anyone lost a tennis bracelet?" Someone turned in a tennis bracelet.
Awesome.
So someone would actually turn in a tennis bracelet that's worth what, 20 grand, 15
All right.
grand, or 1500. You know, that's pretty amazing, and that just should coin it all right there about how good most bikers are, and they're good people.
All right.
That's why I enjoy doing what I do. Plus, there's a lot of travel, adventure.
Right.
You can't go wrong with the biker chicks.
Awesome. Um, for the last few years, you guys have just been doing reunion shows. How did you come to making a new record?
Uh, well, it was the release of the Penetration Point with this guy over at Quick Records, Dave Harmon, who owns it. And I really can't say enough about this guy. I think, you know, with the right promotion and marketing, this guy could be as, you know, as well known as a guy like Brian Slagle, what he's done for metal.
All right.
You know, I think Dave's just chugging along, supporting metal, and he's a guy that really cares about the old metal. But he was a big Nasty Savage fan, so he wanted to re-release the Penetration Point album,
All right.
and then he actually started sending us royalty checks. So I was like,
Awesome.
damn, man, this dude is right on.
All right.
I called up Ben. I said, Ben, if we have any problems, we need to bury the hatchet. Let's get something going. This guy's a real guy.
All right.
I'm real. I'm real enough to put anything aside that was wrong. Let's try to make it happen again.
All right.
So that's when we did the Wage of Mayhem CD. We re-released the original demo. We put that on a CD, and then we recorded 2 new songs, Wage of Mayhem and Sardonic Mosaic.
All right.
So with that, we got the hype out again, and he was hyped. The record label said, hey, man. And we said, yeah, we could do a whole album. We worked out a deal. Very happy with the deal that was made. He was unbelievably cool with what he got, you know, paid us to do it.
Awesome.
And that was the bottom line. We got paid to do it.
Awesome.
So right then we knew we had to take care of business.
All right.
Everybody was focused. We put it all songs and music by Nasty Savage. We got input from everybody. So I think everybody felt that, hey, this is all of us.
All right.
I'm going to put in my soul.
That's
And
awesome.
everybody did. And I think that's why we came out with such a really good product.
All right.
And the name of the album is Psycho Psycho.
That's awesome. What made you want to play music, and who was your first concert?
Well, I you know, being Latin, kind of mixed Italian, there's a lot of passion in that kind of person. And my family used to get together at these big parties, and they'd play the guitars and sing and have fun. And
Awesome.
you know, and I always liked it, but I was always shy. Then the movie West Side Story came out,
All right.
and I liked, like when I was in 4th grade, I remember it. That's another childhood memory, but the 4th grade, 2 gangs going against each other with a gang theme, but it was really a play with music, really got me. And I was able to sing every song of West Side Story and act them out, and I'd dance and shit like that,
That's
you know,
awesome.
to all my family. And I did that for years and years. So I knew I had it in me to be a performer, but I was never a singer or a musician.
All right.
So I just started singing one day. With 2 tape recorders, I'd play the music, sing, and then pick up both of them on this one. And I'd let friends hear it, and they go, "Man, you should try it for this band." And that's how I got hooked up with Ben and those guys when we originally, you know, got in the band and did that. So one of my first, but before actually Nasty Savage, I was jamming with these guys called Chronic Dogs.
Okay.
It was the Chronic Dogs, and we were doing a lot of cover songs, and we did like garage, and that was it, like practicing in garage, and people would come over and kind of check it out. And I remember I used to like sing with my back to the crowd. You know, I was doing songs like Johnny Be Good and stuff like that, and I think that was like my first thing.
That's awesome.
But then things with Nasty Savage happened, and we were right, boom, we just jumped right in it.
That's awesome.
And you know, I never was a singer. I just kind of did what was in my heart and used my passion, and always tried to, you know, learn from others and just, you know, never copy anybody. It was just the music that drove me to sing, really.
All right.
So that's how anybody can do it, man. You know, if you think you can be a singer, do it. Don't let somebody tell you. Don't let someone tell you you suck, you can't sing. Tell them to fuck off.
All right.
This is in my heart, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Exactly.
You know, if I would have listened to all those people back then, you know, I wouldn't be here doing this interview because I would have quit.
Right.
I heard a lot of people say, "You suck, man. Nasty Savage sucked." They were just jealous.
Right.
You know, they're just people who are. It's another thing in bands. There's 100 guys around your town who are killer guitarists, and they play in front of the mirror. When they come together with 5 other guys to make a plan, they freak out and can't do it.
Yep.
So there's a lot of jealousy in music and, you know, bands, and that's a lot of the stuff I sing about. Some of the stuff that I went through, you know, but I never worried about what anybody else said. You just got to go out and make your own thing happen.
All right. How did Infernal come about?
Well, Infernal, you know, Nasty Savage was gone at the time, and I always wanted to do something heavier. And I always felt that, man, we never got just quite heavy enough with Nasty Savage at the time.
Right.
And I was at this party one day at one of my friends. It wasn't even metal people or nothing. And and it was in Ybor City. It was a work party, actually. He was having a holiday party for all his employees and friends.
All right.
And I'm sitting there, and this guy comes out of the blue up to me and goes, "Hey, you're Nasty Ronnie." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I'm Josh." There's this dude, Josh Sweeney,
All right.
who played in a bunch of bands and everything. He's a diehard metalhead, diehard Savage fan. And he goes, "Man, how did we connect in the middle of the night at this party?" I said, "Hey, we need to do something." And I caught a vibe.
All right.
So he ended up going to Alabama and came back down with 4 or 5 songs. And I wrote the lyrics. We put it together in one weekend, and we just did a... He actually did play the drums, bass, and guitar. He's a phenomenal guitarist, man.
All right.
He was on one of the Crooked, Mind Erosion or Line Infection, I think he did another thing.
Okay.
For Crooked, I think it's on the Wedge of Mayhem sampler.
All right.
But he's dead now, the fucker OD. And we were going to do a whole album, and...
That's brutal stuff. I mean, if I hadn't seen your name on there, I'd never know it was you.
Yeah, man,
like,
this was a chance for me to be, you know, to let that other demon out.
All right.
That I always wanted to let out to say, yeah, I can do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because so many reviews of this and that was saying how, you know, we had to go up against death metal, thrash metal, speed metal, who were we, Nasty Savage metal, whatever.
Right.
And we're always getting compared and not compared, and this more brutal, or this heavy, or we're this and that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do that shit. I want to do it. Not that I'm talking down to it without respect.
All right.
Because it's viable and marketable.
All right.
And I think, you know, the productions were kind of cheesy or poor, but it's brutal. You know, and Josh played the drums without having a headset on to hear guitars. So it was just amazing that we pulled it off. And, you know, so that was Infernal. And, of course, Crooked Records released it.
That's awesome.
He's a diehard Savage fan. And I just wanted to kind of cop an evil, heavy, brutal sound, and I think we accomplished that.
Yeah, definitely.
It was really turned out to be just a project. Actually, we were going to do a whole album, and Josh fucked up, and the guys he was bringing down got pissed off because it was a brother was the singer, and his other brother was the guitarist, and so he couldn't split it up, and I got fucked out of the deal, and he went ahead and recorded the album, I think, with Crooked under somewhere else.
Alright.
So I put a curse on his ass, and that's why he's fucking dead right now. No, that's not true. But I know, rest in peace, Josh. You're a bad dude, and I'm sure you're happy wherever you're at.
That's awesome. What advice would you offer to a new band just starting out?
Just work hard at what you do, man. Don't let anybody tell you how to do your thing. Matter of fact, a lot of bands I feel fuck up when they want to listen to Joe Blow, because Joe Blow this week will like this band, the next week he'll like another band. You know, go with you, go with your heart. Get together with the guys or girls, whoever's in the band with you. Get a plan and listen to each other and respect each other.
Right.
Because, you know, and be business. That's why it's important to go to school. Learn the trade that you want to do. I think school's fucked up. At least when I was going to school, they didn't say, look, if you guys want to be a mass marketing guys, TV producers, you know, scientists, you know, they just teach you a bunch of bullshit. And then later, you know, they don't even teach you how to write a check or, you know, work your checkbook or go to the grocery store. You know, I guess you should already know that. But, I mean, some people just, you know, that's why, I mean, if you plan on being in a band, you're young people, you know, it's not going to be easy unless you get a pop hit. It's funny because 20 years later, Nasty Savage is around, and this new album might come out, and some people might think, wow, this is a new band, Nasty Savage. But we're old, man. We're relics, you know.
Right.
But, you know, don't, if it's in your heart, if you have the passion for it, you know, you got to be creative and try to be original and do your thing. I think that's very important is to be yourselves and don't copy others. Be leaders, not followers.
Right.
They say everything's been done, but, you know, do it again or try to create something totally new.
All right.
One thing about Nasty Savage, what I feel is we went and did this metal fest in Chicago,
Right.
and being there's like 20 other bands, and to me they all look like young, new bands. And started talking to some of them, and they've been around for like 8, 6, 10 years.
God.
I'm like, shit, man. What we had over all of them was our roots.
Right.
And when you have roots from the old school, no one can take that back. So the bottom line with a band is just put in your time, play the gigs, pay your dues.
Yeah. Right.
Don't think you're in a band and you're not going to go out and tour and make very little money, very little food, but you're spreading the word of you and your message.
All right.
Don't think you're going to be a star someday without doing that.
All right.
You know, you can't just be a star in Brandon or Tampa. That's the first place you need to establish yourselves is your hometown, your local access. But then you got to prove to a record company now that you could get exposure other places.
All right.
And that's what record companies want. They want to look out and say, wow, this band toured Texas without a fucking album deal. That was what we did because of the demo, because of working, you know, I think the metal scene needs to come together too. You need to find the, you know, like what you're doing now, magazines, fanzines. You know, they need to support the underground radio shows, and all that stuff is what pulls us together.
Exactly.
Because without that, you got to be smart to market it.
Right.
And that's the bottom line is look at it as a business and promote and market yourselves because no one's going to do it for you.
Right.
And as soon as you get a manager, as soon as you get record labels and all that, booking agents, they're all going to take more and more and more and more. The more you can do without them, the better.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And just hope that you can pull it off. A lot of it's politics, too.
Right.
That's who you know.
Yep. What does punk mean to you?
Well, the first thing about punk rock, I think of the Sex Pistols, you know, because that's what exemplified punk rock in the 70s. You know, I was growing up, and punk rock was, you know, I remember seeing it, something about the Sex Pistols. I want to know what the hell is that on TV. They mentioned it,
Right.
and then I started getting into punk, and punk's such a real reality music. You know, it's a real punk. You know, define real punk. It's like define the nature of man.
All right.
But some of my favorite punk bands came really. I really like the Damned a lot.
Oh yeah.
The Damned and Sex Pistols, and it was mostly the British Invasion.
All right.
You know, all those different bands came out. The Dickies were cool.
Yeah.
So many other ones, and GBH, and you know, Agnostic Front, Pro-Mags, and then America came on the scene. But you know, when I think of punk rock, I think of England. I think of, I think of Sex Pistols. But we did tour with, more hard than what is it, punk or hardcore, or this or that, straight edge. There's so many different definitions, and it's all to be respected because it's all great. These are people that do it. You know, the punk of today, they're out there today. I don't know all the bands, but they're out there in the same form and genre because that's the reality of what they're really preaching, the reality of life. And you know, some of it might not make them a lot of money, but some of them might.
Right.
And they're doing what's in their heart. And it's like another one of my favorites is the Battalion of Saints.
Oh yeah. Right.
And God, there's so many I can't think of right now that are just totally cool. And I like punk a lot. But we did a tour with DRI and Sick of It All. Those are two.
I remember that show, Cuban Club.
They're not, I wouldn't say punk rock, but they're more on the hardcore side.
All right.
So I mean, it's really good to see punk with an open mind because we're hardcore with an open mind.
All right.
Because when you're a metal band playing with those two bands on a tour, we really got to got to see the other side and really open our eyes to how nice it was when you're accepted.
All right.
And in the older days, you know, if you didn't have the right look or something, they wouldn't even give
It's
you a
great that
chance.
you could do that because back in those days, punk was very separated. Punk bands played with punk bands, and metal bands played with metal
Yeah,
bands.
then you had the hardcore. And the first show we did was in Lawrence, Kansas, in a big cornfield. Forget the name of the gig, but there was like 400 people in this club, and they were doing stage dives, and
Awesome.
they were just appreciative that we were there. And you know, I think one thing about punk, it's more real, and it's not fantasy.
All right.
It's not a bunch of bullshit. It's straight up reality, and a lot of it also is about punk rock is a great thing about our environment, our life, society,
All right.
politics. It's
Yeah.
punk rock lyrics are pretty smart, you know.
Exactly.
But if you look at some metal stuff, it's like dragons and fire.
Right.
You know, distinction, you know.
Exactly.
So I tried to always be real with my stuff, and you know, I think punk gave me definitely influenced
All right.
punk rock, that anti thing.
What 3 records do you listen to the most?
So it's hard to say. Damn. What I have is one of those things where you put a bunch of CDs in it and drive it around.
All
At
right.
any given time, I could have like the Halford,
Okay.
the new stuff that he did. I could have Merciful Fate.
All right.
Then there could be a Pink Floyd, a Beatles.
All right.
There could be old Scorpions.
All
There
right.
could be a Steely Dan.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of mixture of my music, and there could be some blues,
All right.
rock. You know, I mean, that's one thing as a singer in Nasty Savage, I don't always listen to a ton of metal.
All right. I agree.
You know, because then I'd just be kind of brainwashed to what everybody else is doing.
Well, it also comes with maturing too, because when I was younger, that's all I would listen to was metal, and now I listen to so many different kinds of music.
Yeah, but even back then when I was younger, I was into like Leonard Skinner.
All
You know,
right.
Ronnie Van Zant was a big influence on me, just the way he was.
All right.
A badass rock and roller, you know, and his lyrics are really cool. And Jim Morrison, The Doors, you know, but my top 3, I don't know, I'd probably be a Beatles CD. They're all amazing. The more you listen to them, Abbey Road and stuff like that, just incredible.
All right.
Pink Floyd, you know, and just those would probably be my 2 top ones, and just stuff that I put on to take me somewhere else. The Doors, I'd have to say.
All right.
Some obscure Morrison stuff, but you know, not that I can't get into the old Priest,
All right.
you know, old Scorpions, and some of my influences. Like when we were recording this new album, I said, you know, I need to hear something different, and I went out to the record store and I bought the Rob Halford CDs. I
Okay.
wanted to listen to. I bought a new Merciful Fate one just to hear what these guys were doing, and made me feel like, damn, I shouldn't have bought them. These dudes are too damn good.
All right.
But I guess it kind of influenced me, or just kind of see what was happening, and just incredible stuff on that Halford.
All right. I haven't even heard any of that stuff. I think the last thing I ever heard from him was Fight, but
Yeah, no,
I used to love the old
shit.
Priest stuff.
It's fucking badass. Resurrection is bad.
Awesome.
I mean, they're epics, man. They're epics, just like the old Priest. Like, this is that one Merciful Fate.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Awesome.
But yeah, they and now he's back with Priest, so that, you know, he's incredible.
Excellent.
Actually, no, I need to check on my. What, Emily? Who's little boy? Daddy loves you.
That's funny because I heard that you were a father, and I have a question about that too. Actually, I was going to ask you, do your kids like metal? But obviously they're young, so I'm going to just change it a little bit. I've heard that you are a father now. How does responsibility change with being a daddy?
It's an amazing process just to be a father and to have kids and to have a wife and be able to have a family, to plan it, and make it happen, to make it work.
Right.
There's so many people that have kids and they don't have a father, and one-parent families is very, very hard to bring up. And I've realized how important it is to have a structured family,
Right.
and you have to give them everything. They're there because of you. You got to teach them, and they learn if you teach them.
Yep.
Um, One thing it's done for me is, since I had so much time before I wrote the lyrics to this album, I wrote 10 songs. Being a parent, dealing with a lot of the business stuff I've dealt with, running my own business, and the reality of just living life and surviving
Right.
for these like 8, 10, 15 years has given me a lot of passion in my lyrics.
Right.
It's like when you're young, you're writing about being a metalhead and thrashing and smashing and the cool things like dragons and fire. But then for me, as I got older, I matured with my writing.
Right.
And the lyrics have a lot into them. And I think having a family has given me another edge for writing, even the lyrics. That kids have a big impact on my life.
Right.
And it really hasn't changed me from doing crazy, stupid, wild things on stage,
Right.
just busting somebody up if I have to or whatever. But in other ways, it has, and you learn more respect and just more of a love of life in general.
Right.
And as far as Emily, my daughter's 2, and she sings Psycho, Psycho.
That's awesome.
She goes, Psycho, 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 Psycho. She's sleeping now, but she usually do it.
That's awesome.
But if you put a camera in her face, she probably wouldn't.
That's awesome. How's Crooked Records treating you guys?
Yeah, it really couldn't get any better with like I said, the guy Dave Harmon is such a cool guy. The guy believes in metal.
Right.
I mean, he loses money sometimes doing something that he enjoys, and I mean he's putting back into the metal. And if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even be around. Nasty Savage wouldn't have come back. We wouldn't be here right now. So I give him all the credit in the world, and I think he's a great man, and he has a true love for metal.
Right.
And he's a true Nasty Savage fan. So if anybody's fortunate enough to get on his label, I mean, I think they have a great label, a very honest guy, and
Right.
I mean, I just can't say enough good stuff about the guy. He really is a very cool guy. He, we did that show in Chicago. He drove us out there with the van, paid the hotels, with gas.
Sweet.
He didn't say, this is coming out of your pay.
Right.
He actually gave us, the gig was only like $1,500, and he gave $1,000 of his own money to make it $2,500 to get us to go do it.
That's awesome.
I mean, and he's given us some unbelievable front money, and
Right.
the money he gave us to do Psycho is unheard of.
Right. You don't have to. I don't want to know numbers.
Yeah, but I mean, it's really just unheard of how
Right.
cool, and I've talked to people and they can't believe it, but he's definitely a guy that I think more people should know about how cool he is for metal.
Right.
And he does a lot of things for his love of metal. He's definitely not a capitalist.
That's awesome. What is the best thing to do on a Sunday afternoon?
Well, if it's football season for me, it's around 4 o'clock. It's time to watch the Bucks.
That's awesome.
Also there's plenty of biker parties and stuff like that. Now it's fun just to hang out with the family and do things. Time goes by so fast, man. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's a Sunday, Saturday, Thursday night, Monday night, you got to make the most of your life, and you really should enjoy it with your family, people that you enjoy, your friends.
All right.
Because life goes by too fast, and I mean, it's just we're only on this world for a brief time. So, I would suggest tell people you love them, have a good time, and do what you do that's going to make you a productive person in life and help other people. And I think if everybody could do something positive or nice for somebody else, maybe that'll break down some stereotypes or whatever, people with long hair, short hair, or
Alright.
country, whatever it is, blacks, whites,
Alright.
anybody, if anybody out there could do something positive just to spread the word, to keep it going, I think this world could be a better place.
Exactly. Two more. Did your parents make you go to church when you were little?
Actually, I think my dad lost faith in the Christian church around the 70s. When I went to when I was in New York, I remember I went to I went and had my communion and all that stuff. So I went to Catholic church, and after church, woo, wow, and after school, once a week I'd go to a Catholic church. It was right next to the school.
Alright.
And so I went to some stuff, and I guess at first they were trying to conform me, and I think we just kind of lost faith in the church maybe, and I haven't been going. But I think if you have touch with God or religion, you don't have to be in a church to do it.
Alright.
But I think some church stuff is all about money and commercialization, and so I think it's another one of those, how you really feel about it, if you really want to do it or not.
Alright.
That kind of thing.
And the last question is, what do you like most about Brandon?
Hey, Dad. Okay, what was that?
What do you like most about Brandon?
Well, Brandon has always been I'm doing an interview. Yeah, this is Eric. That's Debbie.
How are you?
Look at this boy. He's got a mark on his head. Your mom beat him. And Emily's just sitting there trying to act like she's sleeping. Go see Mommy? Wanna go see Mommy? Thing about Brandon is, now Brandon's on the map of one of the heavy metal capitals of the world. So many good bands and fans and people have come out of Brandon, and we're just another one of them. But I think we paved the way as far as that. But as far as Brandon, it's just a place that continues to grow, continues to be populated, continues to have another high school built every other year, and so many other schools. And now it's the place I'm bringing up my kids.
Right.
So, I graduated from Brandon High School, and I think it's a good place. I think a lot of people in the old days in Brandon, they used to think of just a place for nothing but hellions and metal and castles and caves, and where kids got together and performed rituals and seances or occult heavy metal stuff, but I mean, it's really just a normal place.
Alright.
It's a good place, and it's a good diverse community we have.
Alright.
And I think it's a place to call home.
Anything you want to add? Anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to say or anything like that?
Yeah, I just want to say, Eric, keep up the good work with what you're doing. Journalists, video journalists, writers, and people out there doing fanzines like yours is very important.
Alright.
And I think you guys should be commended for all the hard work that you do for very little, sometimes very little recognition.
Right.
Guys like you are very important to the scene, and to help out, the things that are going on in the music world. And without people like you and the magazines, the radio stations, maybe things would be slanted a different way. Maybe people would all think that heavy metal or hard rock or punk is all freakos,
Alright.
So you're giving us a chance to talk about who we are and